Govan, you will tell us, is back at the South Gauteng High Court for the second day in a row. This case starting at around 10 o'clock this morning. How did things unfold?
Well, Michelle, it was postponed, and that's because of the introduction of new affidavits by the EFF that wasn't opposed by the legal representatives of Trevor Manuel. This case was supposed to be heard on a semi-urgent basis, but it has now been postponed until next Tuesday, of course, taking it beyond the elections. But it's the EFF's second day in the South Gauteng High Court. Yesterday, they were here defending themselves against Karima Brown, seeking a declaratory order that the EFF leader, Julius Malema, breached the electoral code. So there is much to discuss with the EFF, and I have with me the national chairperson of the party, Advocate Dali Mpofu. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with today's case. So Trevor Manuel says that you defamed him with your EFF statement saying that he conducted secret interviews when setting up during the appointment of the SARS commissioner. First of all, do you deny that you defamed him?
Of course, we deny that we defamed him, and that is what the merits of the case will be about. But today was really about the question of the so-called agency, which has been contrived by both Trevor Manuel and Karima Brown. Any thinking South African should ask himself or herself, why was it necessary for these cases? Let's say we defamed him. Let's say, Karima, we did something wrong there as well. The question is, why was it important for these cases to be heard now, 2 days before the elections, 24 hours before the elections? It's very clear that this is an orchestrated and choreographed ploy, last kicks of a dying horse, the last-ditch attempt by the enemies and haters of the EFF, hoping to reduce the numbers of our of our votes tomorrow.
Okay, Karima Brown has said in her argument that the reason why she had approached the court on an urgent basis was because she believed that the electoral code, which guides the behavior of political parties and their representatives, had been breached. And her fundamental assertion was that the public would need to know if one of the leaders of the EFF had broken the electoral code before they go to vote. Is that not a reasonable request?
No, that's a ridiculous request. Why must the public know? If you decode the statement you've just repeated, and you are right, that's what Karima is saying. What she's saying is that the public must know that the EFF has broken the code so that, what? They don't vote for the EFF. In other words, her objective is to reduce the numbers that the EFF are going to get. That's not the role of a journalist. That's the role of the ACDP, the UDM, the people that were contesting with politicians. A journalist to want to reduce, because that's what she wants, to reduce the numbers of a particular political party. Then she's entering the political terrain. If she wants a declarator that the statements we made were wrong and so on, that's fine. What's the difference? That can be declared tomorrow, in June, in July, whatever. We will still be, whatever consequences will come. But listen, to show that this is an orchestrated campaign and a wicked one at that, Trevor Manuel and Karima Brown have used the same legal team, the very same legal, the same counsel, the same attorneys. How did that happen? Is that a miracle? No. Because somewhere this thing was hatched. Where did Karima Brown and Trevor Manuel meet together to say we're all going to use the same team? This is a conspiracy. It's actually one of the worst. If South Africans can fall for this kind of trap, if anything, even people who are not going to vote for the EFF, they must vote for the EFF. Because
so you think that the court action happening just 2 days and a day before the election would actually increase the EFF support? Don't you think it would have a negative impact, particularly for those undecided voters who may have wanted to go with the EFF but now raising questions because they seem to see that the arguments from Karima Brown and Trevor Manuel is that the EFF is on the wrong side of the law?
Thank you. Then you are agreeing with me. That's exactly the intention. The intention is to bring these cases now so that what you are saying should happen, so that you sow doubt in the minds of South Africans. But South Africans are not stupid. These tactics were used against the liberation movement in the 80s. Demonize, come with all sorts of false stories, and plant in the seeds of the people. How our people reason is actually different. Our people will say, why are these people wanting the EFF at all costs? Even 24 hours, they're still fighting it. There must be something right they're doing. In the same way as the white establishment is saying to people, they must vote for Cyril Ramaphosa to keep the EFF out. That's what's going to make black people to vote for the EFF. Because
just lastly, Advocate, there's the two cases have one thing in common, is that they were brought on the basis of utterances by the EFF leaders or through their statements. Considering that you're now being taken to court on these issues, are you going to employ any other gatekeeping mechanisms to prevent this kind of thing in the future, or are we going to see the EFF putting these positions forward as you have been?
No, we're going to double and treble our efforts to expose Stratcom activities and the tendencies of people who want to demonize the EFF. They have now singled out the Commander-in-Chief and Hussein Ndlozi and the EFF itself. The only reason the Commander-in-Chief is not here himself is because of the bereavement that we all know he's going through. And it's un-African for these people to insist at a time like this to play this little gimmick. Actually, it's something that should be rejected with the contempt it deserves, because this was a little game. Thank God our court system, both yesterday and today, has seen through it, and the judge simply said, I don't know why I cannot hear this thing next Tuesday. And there's no answer to that question, and that's why the judge is hearing it next Tuesday.
Thank you so much. That's the National Chairperson of the EFF, Dali Mpofu. My condolences also to the Commander-in-Chief. But as you heard, they've said that they will double down on their statements, not backing down, and the intent on defending themselves against the defamation charges by Trevor Manuel. For now,
Right.
it's back to you.
Thanks very much for that, Govan Whittles. Live to us there from the South Gauteng High Court.